Good day, everyone. For this video, I will give you some practical tips in making smart learning objectives. Again, this is the Proof Ed teacher. Before I begin, let me read this one to you. To start with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of where you hope your students will end up. Once you know the destination, it is easier to figure it out. How will I know if my students got there? And what I can do to help them get there. For many, writing out the learning objectives appears to be an effort to its own end. However, learning objectives are the foundation for instructional alignment. What do we mean by instructional alignment? It means that learning objectives, assessment tools, and instructional methods mutually support the same educational outcome. This is known as the golden triangle. This is the golden triangle. The learning objectives at the top, and we have assessment tools and instructional methods at the bottom. Well-defined learning objectives outline the desired outcome for learners, which will help them specify the instructional method. The value in writing smart objectives includes helping educators focus and specify what they intend to teach, assess, and offer as feedback for their learner. This shapes the learning session scope, the method of instruction, and the type of quality of assessment. The big question is, what is an effective learning objective? Learning objectives should be, anybody? Okay, student-centered, describing what the students should be able to accomplish as a result of instruction, rather than what the instructor will cover or do in the course. To ensure your learning objectives are student-focused, it's helpful to precede your objectives with this prompt. During and at the end of the lesson, the students must have, for example, we have this one. During and at the end of the lesson, the student must have added dissimilar fractions. To give students a clear understanding of where they're heading, well-written objectives should be specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and time-bound. Let's start first with letter S, which is specific. The first one is specific. We can ask this question while writing our objectives. What action will be performed and by whom? Good learning objectives break down a broad topic into manageable components, and they are explicit about the desired outcomes related to these components. So if your lesson is all about fractions, you need to break these topics into many topics that for that specific time and day, you can achieve that topic. Example again, that's adding dissimilar fractions. So it is very specific that I am only going to target and focus on that specific objective, and that is adding dissimilar fractions. The second one is measurable. How will success be measured? Objectives should quantify the amount of change expected. As guidelines for evaluation, learning objectives should help instructors decide how well students achieve the desired learning. But because instructors have no way of directly observing the internal processes of students' mind, they must rely on external indicators, like what the student says or does, to evaluate that student progress. For this reason, an instructor cannot evaluate progress based on what the students learns, understands, knows, or feels. Thus, learning objectives need to deal with changes that can be observed and measured. The third one is attainable. Can this objective be achieved within a given time frame and with available resources? Given the resources, time frame, background, and readiness of the students, objectives should be attainable or achievable. The cognitive level of the learning objectives should be appropriate to the course level and student level. You cannot give an objective, a lesson or topic to students who are in the grade 6 level that are for the graduate school level. So we have to be careful with that. The next one is results oriented. What is the expected result or outcome? What change of behavior is observed? Objectives should focus on the results rather than the process or activities that students are going to complete. A good learning objective will describe the result, the knowledge, the skills, or attitudes that students should have acquired within the context of instructors' observation. We have the last one, and that is time-bound. When will this objective be achieved? Objectives should provide a time frame indicating when the objectives will be met. Clearly state the timeline if applicable. This can help you decide how well the learner should perform to be considered competent. Based on the topic that we have discussed today, let me ask this question. Why do teachers need to write SMART objectives? If you're listening, I think you know the answer. If you know the answer, please write your answer here down below in the comment section because I will be glad to read your thoughts about this. Thank you for listening. Again, this is the Prof Ed teacher signing off.